the thing that will put the fire of I need to win, the fire of offense out fastest will be when you quench it yourself, when you say, you know what? I'm not winning anything here. There's nothing for me to win. The thing that you win is, for me at that time, going home and knowing that I didn't yell at someone, going home and knowing that I didn't get aggressive, knowing that if I don't hear from that person for a week or two, it's not because I was bad, not because I was mean or rude or anything, because I handled myself well, got through it. I kept my word to myself. So if they go home thinking that they won an argument, and I go home knowing that I won building a trust with myself, who lost? Hey, welcome back to No Offense Taken. I'm Sarah Hips, and this is the podcast where we are talking real about things that sting, things that hurt, and the offense that we feel. I will at some point record an intro so that I'm not trying to recite the bio of this podcast every time, but I'll get to that at some point. Today, I actually want to talk about the need to win. I was just listening to my friend sharing her feedback on my first episode, and she was like, "If I could give some ideas, I would love to." And she started talking about social media, and that's like such an easy thing. And of course, I'm going to talk about it because I'm personally in the throes of trying to kind of like remove myself a little bit from my phone, because every scroll, I find myself having that knee jerk reaction. And so, you know, offense, I shared the definition in the last episode, but pretty much it's just something that allows resentment, it's displeasure, it is a feeling of being hurt. And we identify so much with that, like really fast and reactionary moment where we feel offended by something, where like your mouth takes off before your hand can grab it, you know? But then there are the really smaller ways that we show offense. And those are the ways that a lot of people don't identify. And I was thinking about this thing, this animal that is social media, and really not even social media, because the state of social media right now is, I think, completely based on the idea of offense. Nicole reminded me about like rage bait and rage porn and all of these things that people would post. I don't know if anybody remembers these, but they were like a couple years ago where people would post like recipes, but the recipes are so awful. They're done wrong. They're tedious, repetitive. And then like the end result is not good. And it would take like 15 minutes. These happened on Facebook all of the time. And if you were anything like me, you would get sucked in a bit, where someone would be like, we're going to make a chocolate cake, but on the counter and with a blow dryer, it's going to take 20 minutes. And you're just like, well, this is a dumb thing. And you would spend the whole 20 minutes. And then they would be like, okay, like, we're going to go ahead and like flip it, but first, and then they would keep dragging it out, which would increase your like annoyance and your anger. And you were like offended. You were like offended that these people were trying to make a cake on a kitchen counter that no one had confirmed if they had wiped it clean or not. And they were trying to do it with like a blow dryer on the lowest setting. Everything about this was very upsetting. But that was kind of like the start of the rage bait stuff, where people were intentionally posting to get people angry, because um, it was proven that people commented more often when they were upset at something than they were commenting when they were fine, when they were happy about something. Um, because, and this has been proven for a while, if you have good service somewhere, you're likely to tell one or two people. But if you have really bad service, you're going to tell as many people as possible, because the idea that you need to win against this thing that angered you becomes the leading focus. And so when I was listening to Cole's message and I was thinking about it for myself, I started thinking, when did we become this culture of needing to win and needing to win to our own detriment and when we're actually wrong? I am curious and I looked a little into what needing to win is. It's validation, it is a chemical reward, it is um, a sense of control. That's a big one. And it does have like instinctual, primitive, psychological roots and grounding, right? And so I don't think that anybody's surprised by that. But I do think that we are surprised at the lengths that people go to, ourselves and others, in order to feel like we win. And so a really, really basic example is going to be, you see somebody post um, a workout and they're not doing like the squat quite right. The squat's fine, but it's not technically right. Now you know how to squat technically. Chef's kiss, right? And then you look at the comments, and there are 100 comments of people saying, "What an amazing squat form." And there's a part of you, like whether you acknowledge it or not, but there's always going to be a part of you that scoffs at that. That's not even the right form. And it feels offensive that you can identify that this person is doing something wrong, and yet 100 people are saying that they're doing it right, and you know it's wrong. You know it's wrong. And now that enters the need to win. 9 times out of 10, people comment, actually, they're leaning too far forward. Used to be the knees are over the toes too much, whatever it is, right? But you feel like you have to comment. And if you step back and you ask yourself, why do I need to comment this? Initially, you're going to say, well, because they're wrong. It's triggering that thing. I need to win. I need to correct not only this person, but really I'm trying to bring this person down a peg because everybody's telling them that they're right and they're not right. And they need to know that they're not right. And I need everybody else to know that they're not right either. And so it feels innocent. You see 100 comments, oh, like what amazing squat form, and you go, that's not it, that's not good squat form. Just so you guys know, this isn't good squat form. But even that knee-jerk reaction to make that comment, before you ask yourself, why am I posting this comment? Where am I posting it from? Am I posting it from a place of um, because it's one thing if you see comments that go, wow, this is perfect, great job, you're amazing. Okay. But yet you probably still feel that need to be like, this isn't right. Or are you seeing comments, thank you so much for teaching me how to squat perfectly. I'm going to go and replicate this exactly. Now, maybe you don't feel offended. You go, oh no, right? This person's going to go and hurt themselves. And that comes from a very different posture. Now, for me, I think of what's the heart posture in this, which is a faith term where it's, is my heart posture in what I do actually toward God? Is it set in the right direction? Are my actions and my words coming from the right place? If I am doing it toward God or from God, then a lot of what I do is kind, slow, it's patient, it's seeking, is curious. But if I'm not doing it from the right heart posture, then it's probably less kind. It's probably fast. It's probably a bit rude. It's probably selfish, and it's probably in a way that's going to harm, right? Even if maybe the words that I say, what I'm trying to share is correct, the way that the reason, the gut reason, the instinct, the knee jerk reason why we need to do something, to say something, to post something comes from a place that isn't kind. It isn't innocent. It's not where it should be coming from. And it's tough because when we are in that moment, you see the squat sucks, you see the 100 comments, you have to ask yourself, why do I need to be right here? And that is the biggest question that I had to start asking myself, honestly, years ago, because I used to be a really angry person. And in my anger, I would react often. My anger allowed me to be defensive of myself all of the time because I felt like I was alone in whatever I was dealing with. And so when you feel alone in things and you feel like you have to defend yourself all the time, then you're going to be angry. And when when we look at how a lot of people are reactionary these days, I think that we miss some of that. A lot more people are handling life and things more alone than we realize. Even if they are surrounded by friends, even if it seems like they're the life of the party, they're in the middle of everything, they are often holding something all by themselves. And they have to defend that, they have to protect that, they have to navigate that, they have to process it, they have to, you know, answer it by themselves. And so that I do think that that's why we have a lot more people who just have an anger because they don't know what to do with the thing that they're holding on to all by themselves, the thing that probably feels heavy and either unfair or they don't understand it. It feels shameful or guilty. Um, it feels outside of themselves. And that comes back to that feeling of needing to win. It gives us a sense of control. If I comment on this post, you guys are wrong. I'm right. I feel like I won something. I'm in control of something. And now everybody knows that they're wrong and I'm top of the hill. And being top of the hill creates this feeling, this illusion of of being in control of something. And for a lot of people, when you're scrolling and when you're just going through life, when a lot of things feel out of control and you have that anger just residing and bubbling and growing inside of you, yeah, it's really easy to operate from a place of anger, from immediate reaction of protection of self, right? And so when I stepped back a few years, multiple years ago, and I started asking myself, okay, I'm really reactionary. I'm really defensive. Um, it's I'm fine, but it's like anger exists right here. It's right under the surface. Someone can say something generally about me or things that I feel adjacent to, and I'll feel so hot so fast. And this isn't good. And so, one of the things that I instituted in my communication, because what I recognized was happening was that I was my communication with other people was breaking down. And so then I wasn't able to maintain some friendships and relationships really well. And so I created a boundary because if I was reactionary and we had a bad conversation and then you didn't talk to me for a couple days, it really wore on my worth, my self-esteem, my anxiety. And so I created this boundary for my mental health, but it was just like I will not raise my voice or become aggressive in a conversation with somebody. And then I had a few points, and they were pretty much like checkpoints and bumpers to keep myself in line with my boundary. If I felt like it was going to be a difficult conversation, then I would approach it. Hey, I'd love to be able to talk to you about this. This is something that is a little sensitive for me, and I'm working through it. So I hope that at the end of this, we have heard each other and we don't feel like we have to win each other. So I would set the foundation at that point The goal here isn't for me to make you think I'm right or for me to think that you're right. The goal is just that you feel heard and I feel heard. And that's really hard, because if you're passionate about something, you think that you're right about it, and at some point you really want the other person to agree that you're right about it, right? But if you set that tone for yourself early enough, then you can go into a conversation with the idea of like, okay, I'm saying what I'm gonna do, and I'm saying what I hope you'll do, and I'm gonna work really hard to hold myself to this, you know. And then my second boundary, so let's say the conversation starts, and we're starting to feel a little tug, right? Um, in order for me to, another checkpoint bumper to keep myself in line, is that if your voice started to raise, I had to drop my voice. Which, and the thing here is that all of this takes self-awareness, self-control, and slowing yourself down. So I would talk much slower than I typically would, because it's really easy for me to get out of control. So it was never about the other person. It doesn't matter what this person does. It matters if I'm sticking to what I'm saying I'm doing. So if we're talking about, I mean, let's take something that is really, really hard for me right now. People with the current administration, and let's go back to when um, the current administration took over. They fired a ton of high ranking Black military officials. They pulled up the Black Lives Matter road in DC, right? They have since taken down um, memorials to Black activists and politicians. They've changed names of ships. They have taken down history about slavery. They have erased information on online about women and minorities. That gets me heated. It makes me upset. And if I were to sit and talk with someone who thinks that that's all actually really good, my job isn't to win this person. My job is to let them be heard. And while they're saying things that truly feel like they are hurting me, I have to remind myself that when I'm talking, I go, I, okay, I would say the reason why I disagree, um, and just sharing how I feel about it, right? Now, that's the opposite of what I may be feeling inside. But again, it's not about what that person's doing. It's about how I'm controlling myself. And because I made a commitment to myself, I will not get loud or aggressive in a conversation. That means that I have to be slower. I have to be more methodical. I have to swallow more and breathe way more often. And then the next checkpoint for me, let's say that I've lowered my voice, because it's proven that if you are talking to someone and they lower their voice, you lower your voice as well. But let's say that I've lowered my voice and your voice has not lowered. The next thing is to put my weapons down. Say, I may not understand. Can you help me? And the reason why that is such a hard one to do is because you are at that point, waving a white flag. You are creating the idea that you lost, and that's so difficult, because again, going back to my original point, what we instinctually desire is to feel like we've won. That's why when someone says you're wrong, we feel that fire. We feel that, like, okay, well, excuse you. Like, you should have said that differently. You can't just tell me that I'm wrong. Well, okay, prove to me that you're right. Like, that all comes from such a defensive, offensive place, because we need to be right. We need to win. We need to be the one that is doing something correctly, because it validates us. It makes us worthwhile. It makes us somebody that we needs to be around, that can help others, that deserves respect and space in this world. That may feel like an aggressive stretch, but it is true. I've seen people, I've commented things that I believe are true, and then people will go against me, and I will have someone say, "Oh, you must feel like crap because the person that told you you're wrong has 100 more likes than you." We put this weight on how many likes and follows and shares and bookmarks, how many people are commenting on your posts, how many people are agreeing with you, whether it's in life or it's via text or it's online. Because the more that you get to speak and you're right, and people agree that you're right, the more people want you to speak, and the more space you get to take up, whether you are correct or not, the more that people pour into you, the more worth we are collectively placing on you. And so if you are wrong, people want to hear less of you. People want to tell you that you're wrong. People want to bury you because they need to be right. They need to make themselves feel valid in how wrong you are. And I need to make sure it's so clear I'm so much better than you. And we see this so often, not only on social media, not in politics, not in sports, but in Christianity. People will argue each other nonstop about the nuance of a singular scripture. The fact that actually this scripture means more than this one. And I'm guilty of it. I am the first right now in this current climate to say, I feel pretty sure that God said the if you're not gonna remember anything else, remember, love me more than anything else, anything and anybody else. And if you forget that one, just remember the one that sums it up. Love thy neighbor. Love one another. I'm the first when people throw a scripture about you know, legal laws and laws of land and homosexuality and I'm the first to be like, I don't know, I kind of feel like, because you're wrong. You're wrong. And the truth is that I do often feel like I need to make sure you know how wrong you are. Not because I need someone to pat me on the back and tell me how great of a Christian I am and how much I follow Jesus better than anybody else. I deserve all of the stickers, but because I think I get angry of all the hurt that's been caused. And then I need to like pound it into somebody else that you cause hurt and you're wrong and you're bad for that. The way that I can communicate, the way that other people can communicate, especially again in that Christian space, there's a reason why the phrase is there's no hate like Christian love, is because we don't just need someone to say, hey, you may not understand this scripture. We need to say, you're wrong, you cause harm. And by being so much more correct, I'm actually more elevated. Because when we love somebody who praises and speaks about God, we give them so much more of that space. And there's some type of deity level of, wow, this person's just so blessed. I follow them because God has touched them. What could be possibly even more amazing than being right, but being right like you're closer to God, right? And that's why we have Christianity being weaponized, because that's such a space. But, you know, to get back on track, when we are going through those conversations, the same way that I had to create these checkpoints for myself, you should be encouraged to look at how you respond, the smallest ways that you may take offense. And before you post something, and I know this is becoming more a general practice for people, but ask yourself why you need to post it. What I often ask people, especially when when I feel that like little seed of offense coming up in me, I ask the other person, what do you win here? Help me. Tell me what you win if we continue to go back and forth. It's the most ridiculous example, but I have a dog. She's a Great Dane. She's a light fawn. She's a blonde, a blondie. Um, and I have people who argue me about this dog almost daily, to be honest, which is really wild. People don't believe me when I tell them her breed. They tell me that they've never seen one that color. They've never seen one that small. They've never seen one with ears like that. They don't make Great Danes with ears like that. They just argue me. And I typically know when someone hasn't owned a Great Dane because they're the ones that argue me the most. And the probably around like the third questioning of me, because it typically goes, "Oh my goodness, what a big dog! What kind of dog is that? That's a Great Dane." Really? Yes. Is it a mix? No. I've just never seen one this color. She's a light fawn. I mean, they usually are much bigger. Okay. And when they keep going, I'll feel that like, what the F is wrong with you? If I'm being honest. But I don't say it, I feel it. Depending on how much they keep going, I will say, hey, I'm just curious, what do you win here if you're right? Because I need that person to take a step back. I'll answer your questions. I will talk about this dog. Really, honestly, actually enjoy this dog. I don't know why. I hate to say it, but I hate to say it. I like this dog quite a bit. I love talking about her. But when you keep questioning me, what do you win here? And if someone, usually when I ask that, they go, oh, well, nothing. I don't know. I guess I just don't know the breed as well as I thought I did. So I get the opportunity to step back and go, okay, this person is curious in a way that can feel diminishing and questioning. It is questioning. And maybe this is how this person learned to gain information by question, forcing you to solidify your answers. Maybe this is how they were raised. Maybe um, they are in relationships that's how people talk at them. But the minute that I ask that, it does put that person back, and they usually always have an answer for me. And I will ask that when I feel like I'm about to be rude. Like, dude, why are you asking me so many questions? Like, eh, it's a Great Dane. Get over it, right? But I am able to stop myself because I have to remind myself that there's nothing for me to win here either. I'm correct in what breed I have, but I don't I don't win anything. No one's coming and giving me a sticker because I know the breed of my dog. And so if I can better understand this person, it puts my weapons down too. I don't have to win. There's nothing for me to win. And sometimes when people ask us a lot of questions, we start to feel like you're questioning me, you're questioning my knowledge, you're questioning who I am. Now I have to win, and I have to somehow prove to you something that's almost impossible to prove. Because if you're already questioning who I am, I'm just trying to tell you more of who I am to make you believe who I am. And that's not how that works. And that goes into the validation that we seek when we need to win. In the first episode, I shared that I have a litany of history behind me, like most people. And I have found that the hardest spaces for me to not need to win in are always the spaces that feel the most true when they are questioned. It used to be incredibly hard for me to not get defensive and not take offense to when someone would question me as someone who knew or believed in God. Because the truth is I'm not living the way that God would want. I'm not, I don't, I don't know him. I know him, but I don't. And so it felt always, if someone was like, oh, I didn't know you were a Christian. And I would be like, what? Excuse me? I have a cross on my necklace. Okay. I mean, you just don't know me then. And the reason why I would react that way is because I already felt like I lost. And this person saw it and they identified it. They spoke it. And I know I'm not alone, right? That's what we all typically become offended by when someone speaks on something that we are so sensitive about. That's when we have the biggest reactions. It's not sensitive for me to be a Black woman. It's not sensitive for me that racism exists. It's not sensitive the way that it has existed in America. Those things are old hat. It's just the day to day. The things that are sensitive to me is being confronted with people very close to me, proximity, group, friendship, whatever it is, and learning that my existence do- doesn't matter to them. But I thought it did. That will never not be something that I'm sensitive about. And that's just because it hurts. And, there's the saying of uh, anger is pain with nowhere to go. And so when we are experiencing an offense, I'm not hurt by someone asking me if my dog is a Great Dane or not. But I've answered this question since I got her in 2021. All of the time, repeatedly, 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 I've answered this question. And so, to an extent, stop questioning my knowledge. Now, there could be the question that goes deeper than that. Am I more sensitive to people questioning my knowledge of my dog because people question my knowledge as a woman? Because people question my knowledge in my work in a career path that's felt unsteady? Uh, could it be because I grew up thinking that I was really dumb and I still am fighting that feeling of maybe I am kind of dumb in some ways. Maybe I am a little stupid. Stop questioning my knowledge. Don't question my knowledge. Stop questioning my knowledge. And it comes out in the most silly form of I don't know how many times I need to tell you. It's a great day. When you are when we need to win, we lose so much peace. We lose so much of ourselves because we're trying to rip some of ourselves out and hand it to someone and say, see, see, see. Take that with you and know that I beat you here and I'm right. I hope that you go to bed thinking about how I'm right. I hope that you go to work tomorrow and you're sitting in traffic and you're rehashing the fact that I was right. We're giving ourselves out to people in hopes that they turn around and say, you were right. And what validation does that give us? What does it, what does it win us? The feeling of like, yes, for 2 seconds? Because I'll tell you, when I see someone with really crappy squat form and 100 people say that's perfect form, and then I say that's actually not good form, and then I look a day later and I have 200 likes on my comment, I go, oh, I don't throw a party. I don't call my mom. I don't post about how how right I was. I just go, oh, okay. And so this biological, chemical, primitive need that we have to be right now floods our phones. It floods our communication. We find avenues to be right in. We pick up hobbies and then get mildly good at them. And then need to tell people there that, you know, I do this better. If we approached so many more things as I'm still learning, like the checkpoint 3 in my boundary about communication, where it doesn't actually matter if this person goes home thinking, I beat Sarah. I got Sarah to admit she doesn't know what she's talking about. Simply because I was trying to adhere to a boundary I set for myself. And I felt like I couldn't control myself that well. And so I pulled a ripcord of, you know what? I may not be understanding you. Can you help me understand better? Because I'm not saying I want to agree with you. I'm saying, can you help me? Can you elaborate or better explain your perspective here? Because the thing that will put the fire of I need to win, the fire of offense out fastest will be when you quench it yourself, when you say, you know what, I'm not winning anything here. There's nothing for me to win. The thing that you win is, for me at that time, going home and knowing that I didn't yell at someone, going home and knowing that I didn't get aggressive or loud, knowing that if I don't hear from that person for a week or two, it's not because I was bad, not because I was mean or rude or anything, because I handled myself well, got through it. I kept my word to myself. So if they go home thinking that they won an argument, and I go home knowing that I won building a trust with myself, who lost? And if we don't have those type of boundaries on our social media use or in our conversations with people, maybe the boundary is simply, um, I don't get to win in arguments with people. Doesn't mean that you are going around telling everybody that you're wrong. It may just mean that you, okay, I don't think that's a Great Dane. Okay. Uh, I, I still go home with the dog. It doesn't really matter, right? Uh, oh, I think that Black Lives Matter is a bad thing. Okay. I mean, I'm still black and I think it's great and that's fine. Okay. Maybe you're so far in the space of needing to know that, needing to let people know that you're right, needing to let people know that you're better than them, needing to correct people. Maybe you're so far in that space that the boundary you need to set for yourself is, I don't get to win in arguments, period. But make sure that you are considering what winning actually does for you. Is it about validating your worth? Where did that come from? Because the truth is that from the faith perspective, I'm I'm wrong so often. I'm wrong like all the time. I recognize that the relationship I have with God is a father and daughter, which means I'm learning every single day. Every single day. I don't know how to confront this. I don't know how to navigate this. I don't know what to do with this. I don't know how this is going to turn out. I don't know, you do. So I can't be winning anything. I can just be trying my gosh darn best. And when we are moving forward in ourselves and toward others with that mindset, it means that when we hear someone preaching incorrectly, we go, hey, I'm curious where you got this interpretation. I'm curious why you feel a need to represent God this way. And I, instead of focusing on that person, we can turn to the people that they are misleading, and we can say, hey, just so you know, God loves you. Just so you know, um, he said that you're forgiven. Just so you know, and that's why we read the Bible, so we can bring that forth. We absolutely have to be people of accountability and action and responsibility, right? If my friend stumbles, if she is not in the faith and she stumbles, it's still on me to help her back up, maybe call her out. I'm blessed with friends that have called me out in my life. If we are two people in faith and they're maybe starting to go off the deep end with something, or they're just getting really flaky in some ways, or they're going in the wrong directions, right? When I say wrong, just blatantly, like, boozing it up nonstop and fornicating like crazy, and like, yeah, it's on me to be like, hey, I'm not saying there will never be a day where I say I have it mapped out perfectly. Specifically, I will lose one day. I'm gonna mess up, and I need you on your path so that when I mess up, you can help me back to my path. But what's going on here? Because our reactions to things, our behaviors are never just the superficial, the surface thing. Your offense to somebody or something is not superficial. It's not the thing. It's easy to say that if someone runs up and they yell something at me, that seems pretty clear. But if I'm someone who has just true peace, then there's not a reaction to give. If I feel threatened, if I feel hurt, if I feel like I'm completely out of control, if I feel like I don't have worth and this person's coming at my worth, then yeah, I'm going to react. And I'm going to be offended. And I think like the biggest thing here truly is that the need to win comes from a need to ensure that we are worth space, effort, being seen, being heard. Offense and berating people, it it will never actually be the validation that you think it is. Getting agreement from people who are also angry is never the validation that you think it is. It feels like it in the short term, but that release of dopamine, it's gonna do something great for a moment. There's a reason why people need to keep eating sugar. There's a reason why people need to keep posting. There's a reason why people need to keep refreshing, because you will always need that dopamine. But if you receive that peace and that validation, not from online, but from yourself, from God, from the people that you truly know around you that are really, really good, then you don't need a dopamine hit of making someone feel like they're wrong and they're dumb. And um you know I love the idea of asking yourself what you need to win and what you do win, because then that is the defining difference of when a conversation is worthwhile. And when you understand what you're trying to win, and this is why having that conversation in a relationship is so important, because before you start arguing, you ask, okay, what do you need to win here? And if the answer isn't us, then you have a different problem. Um, it I mentioned before in the last episode that I've gotten so much better working my way from that space of anger. I just realized I don't know if you guys can hear my dog snoring, the one I was talking about, but working my way from that place of anger, I got really good at understanding I'm working. This is a process. And I would tell people, hey, sometimes I get sensitive about this and I'm working on it. And it's a me problem. But if you want to be a friend with me, a friend of mine, and you are willing to hold me accountable to when I overstep in this space, then it's a we problem. And as long as I'm working on it, um, then it's a we problem. But if you don't want any part of it, then it's a me problem. And I had some friends who did say, no, this sounds like a you problem. And yeah, our friendship did not continue long. Not because I was resentful, but because depending on what it was, it goes, okay, you don't want to show up in our relationship growing in a way that, I mean, this is just real. It is what it is, right? Um, it would be like if someone was like, "Hey, I'm in a wheelchair, and if you want to hang out, you will have to pick me up, and you will have to get me into your car and put my wheelchair in the back." And if I was like, "That seems like too much work," uh, it's not necessarily saying I don't want to hang out with you. I don't think that you're cool, but it's saying the value of what I get versus what I have to put out feels imbalanced. And to the that person, they go, "Okay, well, I think that it should be the other way around, and that's okay, right?" Um, but when I would come to my friends and I would share this, A, it created more community. Um, B, it created more insight. They got to understand something about me. And I would share this. This comes from a place of insecurity. This comes from a place of I've always needed to do more to try to get people to want to be around me. Maybe I didn't need to do those things, but I was kind of trained into doing that. And so I always place myself second and I always overdo in hopes that that will make you want to be around me more. And so when I don't do too much and I don't feel reciprocation from you, I will get anxious. I'm working on it. Right. But now, because I've invited them into understanding me, they also get an opportunity to communicate things to me. Hey, just so you know, I've just been really busy the past few days. That's why I haven't called you, but I really can't wait to hear about how your weekend was, right? That's amazing communication from someone who is adopting the fact that this is a we problem. And as I'm working through it, our friendship gets to be something that is really solid and the ROI is there, right? But when I do that, and that's the thing that relationships need. If I'm stressed out and I'm operating in a me problem with somebody else and I'm not doing well, they have all the space to be like, hey, what are you winning here? What do you need to win here? Because I've shown up. I'm having the conversation with you. I'm doing my best, right? And so I encourage you to have those types of conversations with yourself, but also the people around you, your friends, your spouse, your boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever it may be, your parents. Um, Always set the table of when we are having arguments, what when it gets heated, what do you need to win here? If it doesn't come back to us, then we have a problem. And then we need to figure out that problem because that's a you problem. You need to invite me into it. And I think that if we can try to take more of that into the rest of our lives, like I said, with the person that they keep questioning me on the dog, and I say, "Hey, what are you winning here? What do you win here if you're right?" Their answer invites me into showing up for them in that moment, in how I change my tone, how I change the way I answer things, how much longer I stand there or not. I'm giving them the space to say, "Here, here it is." Because maybe they go, I just don't think that this is a Great Dane. I've studied Great Danes my whole life, and this isn't a Great Dane. And I go, okay, oh, this is interesting now, right? And so, I'll finish out with this that if you are placing your worth into how you win things, and the feeling of winning comes from a level of offense that you may not have noticed. Again, we have the really big things. And then we have the small things like, that's not even how you do a squat. Let me make sure I let them know. Uh, Ask yourself what you win. Ask yourself why you need to speak, to post, to do whatever it is. Ask yourself what you get from this. Ask yourself what is bothering you. Ask yourself if you follow through on this, what does it do? What does it do for you? What emotion or validation does it give? And and let's follow that back somewhere, because there's an answer, and that answer matters. And I love finding those answers. So yeah, I I hope that this is worthwhile. I would love to hear some feedback. I'd love to hear your answers or your thoughts. And if you think I'm wrong, share it. I just want to hear it all. But I know that like this is an important topic because we are facing it every single day, and we're facing it a lot throughout the day. And hopefully getting to those answers and asking those questions and slowing yourself down a bit can create a little bit more peace in your life. So, yeah, thank you for joining me again for another episode of No Offense Taken. Again, this is your host, Sarah Hips, and stay tuned for episode 3.